Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, for our fourth time tonight. We're here live here on the Intersim Esports Network. Facebook wanted to play a few little tricks on us tonight, and they've done that exactly tonight, exactly when we really didn't want it to happen. But we're back live, and we're into a qualifying session here for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Scotty Rankin at the moment is at the top with a 29.72. Aaron Bryan there sitting there in second with a 29.75. Barry Neal, your man, 29.86, sitting there in third position, Paul.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Barry's always up the front there, but Cade Donnelly's just out on a lap at the moment, so we'll see where Cade Donnelly slots into tonight. He's jumped into P10 there on his first lap out, so still another 30 odd seconds there, so he should be able to slip in another lap, hopefully.
Hopefully, Cade Donnelly, someone that's really strong in these supercars, especially around the ovals. It's weird to see him back there in 10th at the moment, but don't be surprised we see him up at the pointy end when this is all said and done tonight. So we'll see how that happens. But at the moment, it is Cade Donnelly just jumped up into the 7th position. So he's going to have a little bit of work to do. But as we know here on the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, doesn't really matter where you start because it is definitely people always wanting to make their way forward. So we'll see how they go. But we'll bring up the grid very shortly and we'll go through who's to start at the front here for the next round of the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Scotty Rankin will take the pole position tonight over Aaron Bryan in second position. What a great qualifying by Aaron. Barry Neal out of New Zealand in P3. Justin Whittier, reigning champion and current championship points leader in fourth. Andy Barber in fifth. Tom Pritchard in sixth. Cade Donnelly, the man of the moment, in seventh. Philip Howe in eighth. Raymond Yeager in ninth. Pete Matson will start out of the P10. Darren McKenzie out of P11. Gary Wellman will start out of the 12th position. In the 13th position will be Ash Nessa. Brett Campbell out of 14th. Tristan Koch will take up the 15th position. On the outside of him will be Christopher Finlay. Ian Class will start out of the 17th position, and DJ Derek Jacobs out of the United States of America out of the 18th position, Paul, for our 18-car field here around the Nashville Superspeedway here for... we'll go through the race facts very quickly. Well done, Paul. So we are at Nashville Superspeedway here tonight. It will be 151 laps, 75% fuel. One set of tyres over the wall tonight. Fast repair, 0. No fast repairs, so you've got to keep that car clean. One green-white checker if it is needed. Of course, myself, Aidan Schultz and Paul Jackson in the broadcast booth with you tonight. The track length is 1.33 miles or 2.14 kilometres, whichever way you do see it. And the sim racing time is obviously night time, 7:45 p.m. So you can see it's night time. We don't need to talk about that. So they're ready to roll out, Paul. Really good to see Aaron Bryan have a solid qualifying tonight and seeing him up on the outside of the front row. Of course, taking nothing away from Scotty Rankin off the pole position, but it's a little bit of a different mix at the front of the field tonight around the Nashville Superspeedway. It's a little bit of a different track as well, so might sort the men out from the boys or the racers out from the contenders. So definitely a little bit more interesting of a front row here for the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So looking forward to seeing how these guys go as they are just making their way around under the pace car at the moment, getting ready to go green. You do have Scotty Rankin there on the inside of the front row. The pace car is in, so the field is in Scott Rankin's hands. They're going to wait for the green. He can't go before the green. It looks like he has up. He's gone way before the green, and I do not know what's happened there, but Scott Rankin's got the jump, and Scotty Rankin's going to take the lead into turn number 1 and 2. Barry Neal sitting there in P2. He's one that's probably had a little bit of a beneficiary about that, Paul. He got through that. There's a couple of people that moved backwards early in this one, but don't know what happened at the start where it was Scotty Rankin. He left really early in that one.
Yeah, well, Aaron Bryan was completely left behind there, and he's fallen all the way to the back of the grid after we commentated on how well he did in qualifying there. He definitely wasn't ready for that jump for the start of the race.
Yeah, not sure why he's gone back so far. He might have copped a little bit of damage and just made his way back through the field at the moment, or probably just going, nah, boys, I'm not having a part of this. I'm just going to sit back there at the moment. So we'll see how Aaron Bryan plays his race at the moment as we're all on board with Andy Barber from the... Sorry, just looking. I'm trying to get a little bit of a grips on what I'm looking at. So we're on board with Andy Barber from the Substars Esports Racing team at the moment. Andy Barber's down one spot in his starting position, but he won't be thinking too much about that at the moment. He'll just want to have a nice, solid race. But Raymond Yeager, he's up into the 4th position at the moment as well. So he's up 5 spots, but we saw this early last week, Paul. He went to the front early, and that did not help him. He decided to set the pace, and hopefully he doesn't drive it too hard early tonight, because he'll be there with some nice solid lap times and be able to fight for the lead of this one as it all plays out. But we're cautioned for the first time tonight here around the Nashville Superspeedway, and Ash Nesser, the man who started, oh no, it was Aaron Bryan off the front row, sorry. Ash Nesser, though, not the way he wanted to start his night, Paul. Lap 4 in, and we're cautioned for the first time tonight.
Well,
we'll go across to the sim. Sorry, Paul. We'll go across to the Sim Racing Edge, Sim Racing Merch. .com instant replay, and have a look at what brought out the first replay of tonight. Oh. So looks like Ash Nesser there just got up into the car on the outside, and that was all she wrote for the 080, and turned it around. No fast repairs tonight, so that's going to be a long night back for Ash Nesser, unfortunately there, Paul.
Yeah, hopefully not too much damage as he's just riding that wall around there. So hopefully that won't be too costly to him. But, yeah, not the way you want to start your race.
Definitely not, but the left side at least now evened up with the right side, because see the right side had a bit of damage as well. So at least that evens itself out, and in the world of motorsport, with your race car, if it evens itself out, hopefully that is all okay. But it will be Scotty Rankin leading the way here under caution for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. It was an early caution, not something we expected, but the Nashville Superspeedway is something that definitely, it's a racetrack that definitely can cause this. But I'll bring Paul back into the broadcast booth at the moment. Paul, jump across, mate.
Alrighty, well, yeah, as we had a little bit of technical difficulties going live with Facebook, didn't get a chance to run through everything. So coming into tonight's race, we might just jump across to the current championship points, and we'll see how they're faring.
Yeah, good time, mate. Good time to be able to jump across and have a look at those championship points. Of course, you can take us through us, Paul. Take them through us. Take the viewers through the championship points and let us know how they're standing coming into this round tonight.
Alrighty, so currently our championship leader, Justin Witcher, on 246 points, and Justin was our Season 1 championship leader as well. So just going to show why he was our Season 1 championship leader, as he's got a nice little lead there of 31 points over Scott Rankin, and Scotty Rankin definitely looking like he wants to close that gap tonight as he qualified on pole, so bonus points there for Scotty Rankin. And Gary Wellman there in third spot with 211 points, Kate Donnelly 208 points, and Raymond Yeager on 203 points in our top 5. The pace car lights have gone out, so we'll just quickly scroll through on that so we can get back underway with the racing, Aiden.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and thanks for jumping in and doing the championship points there, mate. Well done. But I tell you what, Justin Witcher, the reigning champion, he's had a good season this season. It's definitely his to lose at the moment, but there are a couple of people nipping at his heels, so he doesn't want a bad round. That's all it takes is one bad round. So we will see what happens with that. Like we say here, usually here on the InterSim Esports Network, when we broadcast the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries, there's usually a green-white checker or a lot needs to play out yet. It's only early doors, another hour of racing yet, and it will be Scott Rankin. Scott Rankin leading the way off the start this time with Cade Donnelly on the outside. Scotty Rankin playing a little bit more nicely this time and not going too early, but now we're green again, once again, for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries, and Scott Rankin gets the jump on Cade Donnelly. Cade Donnelly, keep one eye on him, Paul. He is an absolute master of these cars around the oval. We've seen him take a lot of wins, and he's actually one that has been the most consistent and taken a lot of wins, but never taken home a championship in the Australasian Supercar eSeries.
Well, I would say more so. Well, I don't know about wins. We might have to look up these statistics here, Aiden, just to verify on this. I know Cade's obviously he's done quite well on the road course side of things as well, and does find his way into the podiums as well in the ovals. But yeah,
I'd like to think, actually, I reckon if we look at statistics, I think Justin Witcher's going to get him on statistics, because he doesn't win a championship and then back it up and be leading the championship coming into this round. I think Justin Witcher would get the chockies there. But Cade Donnelly definitely been the quicker driver, I'd suspect. If I'm looking from a broadcast perspective, he has been he's been definitely quicker, but probably not able to convert on a couple of occasions, which has really hurt him. He did come away with a sensational win last season at Indianapolis for the Indianapolis 400. So that was good by Cade, but we see him now stretching his legs over Scotty Rankin at the front of this one. So Paul's got the statistics on what we've been talking about. So Paul, bring the statistics up, and or at least let the viewers know of the statistics about Cade Donnelly as opposed to Justin Witcher.
Alrighty, so currently our championship leader Justin Witcher has had 2 wins to Cade's 1. Justin Witcher's had 5 top 5 finishes and 7 out of 7 races inside the top 10, obviously. So 5 of the 7 races he's been within the top 5. And Cade Donnelly, who's had 1 win, he's only had 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. So out of the 7 races he's raced.
As Barry Neal just blinks out a little bit on the inside of Justin Witcher there, but that's really good there for this series. But it'd be good to go back to season 1 as well, because Cade Donnelly was right at the front as well. So if we could get those statistics across both series, that'd be really good. But oh, you've got that as well. So there we go, Paul the stat man. So we're going to call Paul the stat man. So we'll go across the whole series. So Cade, when you're watching this back, this is probably a little bit to know on how to win a championship, because you're a great driver, mate. You're doing a great job. But this is going to be interesting to see, and this is going to be good from all the viewers to hear this and how you win a championship, because Justin Witcher does not win every race. Cade Donnelly's been at the front for a lot of them. But Paul, bring those other statistics up for the viewers.
Alrighty, so season 1, Justin Witcher had 3 wins, followed closely by Gary Wellman with 2 wins and Cade Donnelly with 2 wins. And in the top 5, so Justin Witcher had 8 top 5 finishes there, compared to Cade, who had 5 top 5 finishes, and Darren McKenzie actually had 6 top 5 finishes there. And top 10 finishes, Justin Witcher out of the 13 races had 9, and what do we got there? Cade Donnelly 9 also top 10s. But you had the likes of Troy Davidson and Gary Wellman in there with 10 top 10s out of the 13 races there. And Gary Wellman actually finished 2nd in the championship in season 1 with Cade in 5th there.
Well, I think that pretty much hits the nail on the head there, Paul. It's all about consistency, and that's why Justin Witcher has been able to get the job done through these championships at the moment. But Kay Donnelly leading the way. He's trying to set the pace early. And it's still Scotty Rankin sitting back there in second position. You mentioned Darren McKenzie. Darren McKenzie, a good driver in these supercars around the ovals. He's sitting back there at the moment in the sixth position. He's up 5 positions on his starting position at the moment. So he'll be someone to beat. He'll be there or thereabouts. He's a smart cookie. So we'll see what Darren McKenzie's going to bring later on in this one. We know it's all about strategy. There's a lot to play out. Yeah, and Nashville Superspeedway is definitely not the easiest track to navigate because it's not flat out. You can see him come through turn 1 and 2 as you see Darren McKenzie come into 1 and 2 this time around. You can see the flames come out of the inside of his car there. They got to back off quite a lot to get around the corner. It is not a super speedway in a sense as it's named. They really need to be able to manage those tyres. So we'll see how this happens. We're on board now with Aaron Bryan. He's in behind Pete Matson at the moment. Aaron Bryan, he started second. He went to the back early. He's back to fifth. He's in behind Andy Barber and Pete Matson at the moment. Pete Matson having a nice solid start to this one up into P3, Paul.
Yeah, we did jump on board there with Pete for a few laps just before, and did notice that he was having a nice little run there, up 7 spots into P3 currently.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. We'll see whether he can hold the tyres on. We saw him earlier. We heard him earlier. I don't know what he's talking about, but we seen him earlier in a race, probably a week or two ago, that he was going good early, but he just got his strategy a little bit wrong with the way the tyres and the fuel drop run. And he was on for a top 3, and he had a nice solid top 5 or 6, but we'll see whether he can play that out better tonight. We're on board now with Brett Campbell, the 015 Aussie Esports pilot. He's sitting currently in the 10th position. He's got Tommy Pritchard in front of him, Raymond Yeager in behind him as well. So Raymond was up at the front earlier. It looks like all these guys that we're on board with at the moment have been through pit lane. So the top 5 drivers at the moment in this motor race have not been through pit lane. That's why they've sacrificed a little bit of track position at the moment. So this is why you're seeing the likes of Raymond Yeager drop back there. So he's got to be very careful here not to race too hard too early. He's going to get the run on Brett Campbell here down into turn number 1 and 2. Looks like he's going to get that job done. Christopher Finlay in behind him as well. It's really weird to see these Aussie Boy racing cars, or Aussie Boy racing team, Simboys racing team, sorry. Their cars look so different. It's different to call, especially at night. Makes it even so harder. But Raymond Yeager has finally got that job done on Brett Campbell, and he's made his way up into the top 10 at the moment. But Tom Pritchard now, we're having a look at. Tom Pritchard has Raymond Yeager trying to make the run on him around the outside, down the back stretch. Justin Witcher, my apologies. But Tommy Pritchard on the inside there. So Justin Witcher looks like he's going to get the job done down the main straight. He's going to cover off, and he does that right now. So Justin Witcher getting the job done there. But everyone tuning in on the InterSim Esports Network, we can see you here. We can see you tuning in. Jump up and have a chat with us. Let us know you're tuning in. Keep us excited here. Obviously, the racing is definitely exciting. And Tommy Pritchard making it exciting there as we just changed cameras. But Tommy Pritchard was trying to have a good run up the inside of Justin Witcher there. But let us know who your favourite driver is, who you think is going to win the race tonight, as Pete Matson there just getting a little bit wide there through turns number 1 and 2. And that's going to allow Aaron Bryan to make the run down into turn number 3 and 4. Aaron Bryan's one to look out for tonight, Paul. Started off the outside of the front row, went right to the back off the start, but he is doing a great job trying to recover those positions at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think not taking the pit stop under caution there definitely helped make up a few of those spots. But Aaron's definitely got a lot of pace tonight as well, obviously, to put that car on P2 on the grid. And he's already making his way back towards the front there. But just want to touch on something tonight, Aidan, that Nashville, so this is the first time that these supercars have actually run in the Oval Series. They didn't run at Nashville last season. It's the first time here for everyone.
Yeah, it's the first time here, and it's definitely a different track. So when we run it through the NASCAR and the Truck Series, you come into a super speedway and you think, okay, it's going to be a lot of draft, it's a lot of that type of stuff. Nashville is definitely a lot of draft down the front and the back stretch, but through the turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4, you definitely need to back off quite a bit, and you need to get that car rotated without trying to burn off the tyres so much. So Nashville Superspeedway, as they call it, a super speedway, is definitely not that as such. So that's why you're seeing a different lot of racing, or a different style of racing to what you'd see on a super speedway here tonight. And another thing to mention as well, it's not asphalt, it's concrete. You can see it looks a lot like concrete there. So it is definitely a different place to race. But we'll go on board with Tristan Koch at the moment, as he's in behind this amazing battle you see on his screens here at the IndySim Esports Network, and just enjoy some of the sights and the sounds around Nashville Superspeedway. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of laps around Nashville Superspeedway. On board with the 550, Tristan Koch. He's watching the battle between Christopher Finlay, Tom Pritchard, Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager battle out in front of him at the moment. So that's what it's like around Nashville Superspeedway. Raymond Yeager at the moment, he's going to get a lot of help by his teammate of Justin Witcher, but I'll tell you what, it's not really going to help him at the moment, because if one of these guys in behind them, the likes of Tom Pritchard, Christopher Finlay or Tristan Koch, wants to make a move on the inside, that's not really going to help them. But we'll see what happens here. You see Justin Witcher just backing off there, and what beautiful shots here on the IndySim Esports Network from the back of Raymond Yeager's Pinnacle Esports Racing entry. Obviously simracingedge.com, one of the major sponsors, to what great shots that is and what great driving by all the drivers at the moment. But there's a lot of gaps at the moment. So Raymond Yeager's currently 3.5 seconds behind Gary Wellman. Gary Wellman's having a little bit of a, I'd say, a little bit of a lonely race at the moment. He's got Darren McKenzie in front of him, but Darren McKenzie there. Darren's obviously watching the broadcast too, so good evening to you, Darren. Thanks for tuning in and racing at the same time. Let's see if you can comment on the broadcast while you drive. That would be really, really interesting. But Gary Wellman, he's going to want to work with Darren a little bit at the moment. They've got 6 seconds behind the group in front of them, which is Aaron Bryan and Pete Matson. But a lot to play out at the moment. Darren McKenzie and Gary Wellman pretty much sitting in a good spot at the moment. They come down pit lane, as we said, on lap 5. So they're going to be able to go a little bit longer as Darren McKenzie gets hard into the wall, too busy looking at the broadcast. And He is hard into the wall, and that's not going to help the 0-2 there and Darren McKenzie. But we're back at the race at the moment. The Angry Pack, led by Raymond Yeager. He's leading the pack. Justin Witcher, Tom Pritchard, Darren McKenzie's now fallen into the grass for these guys. That's how quickly that can happen. They had about 4 or 5 seconds on these guys. Looks like Darren McKenzie's almost had enough now, and he goes, no, I'm going to get some damage done. And I think that's the commentator's curse 101 there, Paul.
Oh, I think it definitely is. You definitely put the challenge up to him, and he had a crack at that challenge of trying to say something to you on the broadcast chat there and just put it in the wall.
Do you reckon he did, though? Do you reckon he did?
I reckon.
See him commenting at the moment. You reckon he had a crack, and that's he had a crack into the wall at the same time. So that's unfortunate for Darren.
Well, we might get a little bit of text and then some angry face emojis or something.
We'll get something shortly, no doubt. But that's all right. Darren McKenzie. Yeah, Scotty Rankin, he's managed his tyre and he's managed his car a lot early in this one. We saw Kay Donnelly get a big jump on Scott Rankin early, and Scotty's just slowly ranging that gap back on Kay Donnelly at the moment. And he looks a little bit fresher than Cade. Looks like he can rotate that car a lot more through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So Scott Rankin playing the long game here, and that's definitely working. But in saying that, you do have Gary Wellman, Raymond Yeager, Justin Witcher, which are off strategy at the moment, albeit 5 or 6 laps. But that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as the race goes on. You can see there, Kay Donnelly trying to take that high line. He's really struggling with that car at the moment. So we're going to see Scotty Rankin make the move here on Kay Donnelly quite easily. He's going to get that job done through 1 and 2. He might not clear him out of 1 and 2 because Kay Donnelly's not going to let it go easily. But through 3 and 4 here, we'll see. We'll see Scott Rankin try and make that move done. And Darren McKenzie's got the angry face on. Darren, there's a lesson, mate. Don't listen to a broadcast while you're driving, mate. Tip number 1. But we'll bring you up and have a chat shortly, mate. Hopefully you don't have too much damage, but Scott Rankin still trying to make the move here on Kay Donnelly. He's really trying to get that done. Kay Donnelly not making it easy on him. Scott definitely has the quicker car, but he doesn't want to overdrive it to try and make this move because he's just going to burn off his stuff as well. Cade's doing a great job. He's playing it smart just there on that mid to outside line and trying to keep that mid-corner rotation and speed up. And that's what's not allowing Scott Rankin to get the job done. But Scott's going to keep persistent there on the inside line and see if he can get the job done on Cade. It looks like he might get it done off 1 and 2. This time he's got a lot of a better run. We'll see what happens into 3 and 4 this time around, whether Cade can get the car rotated and keep that outside line speed happening. It looks like Scott Rankin's got that job done. He's going to now get the position. He's going to take the lead of the motor race ball.
Right. Have a look in the background here, Aiden. While this was going on with Scott Rankin and Kay Donnelly there, the move for the lead change. Andy Barber in third's been chipping away at that gap. And now he's only 1.8 seconds behind Kay Donnelly in second there.
Yeah, Andy Barber been doing a good job. He's always someone that races the... I am eating, sorry, I need to have my dinner. But
better not be a toasted sandwich again, Aiden. You had 2 of those earlier today.
No, it's actually pad thai. But Andy Barber doing a good job tonight. He's always one that likes to manage his race, and it looks like he's doing that quite nicely at the moment. He is 1.8 seconds behind Kay Donnelly at the moment, but he's sitting there in third. We'll see what happens. This is not a slipstream type of race. It's more of a manage your tyre race, and we can see that now with Pete Matson now getting passed by Aaron Bryan. It looks like Aaron Bryan's trying to get that job done. He couldn't get it done, but Pete Matson still doing a good job there. He's up into third early. He's just navigating his way around and trying to get to that pit stop because they're going to pit a little bit earlier, but the likes of Gary Wellman, Raymond Yeager, Justin Witcher, Tom Pritchard, Tristan Koch, Barry Neal, they're going to have to pit a little bit later, but like they haven't taken tyres or anything. And that's why we're not seeing a difference with the raw lap speed at the moment. It'll probably help the likes of Raymond Yeager, Gary Wellman, Justin Witcher, Tom Pritchard in the back end of the race if we do go green to the end. But if we don't, then it's definitely going to play up or bring something a lot different. But you know what, we're 46 into 151. We're only a third of the way through the race, or just about a third of the way through the race. We haven't seen green flag pit stops at the moment. We haven't seen what these strategies are on tyres, so a lot to play out yet. But I tell you what, these drivers are doing a great job around Nashville Superspeedway at the moment, Paul.
Yeah, definitely, and good to see first time at Nashville. Everyone having quite a clean race too.
Yeah, they are. Pete Matson was just staying on the outside there. We'll go back to Andy Barber though, because this gap has closed substantially. Andy Barber, Southern Stars Esports Racing, was not really there early in the early doors of this one, and he has just shown some great speed. Last time around, he pulled out a 30.55. Cade Donnelly a 30.99. Scott Rankin a 30.36. He's 30.36. He's off into the distance. Cade Donnelly has raced this car too hard, too early. Looks like he's burning the front right of that tyre. And Andy Barber's going to get this job done like Cade Donnelly is standing still through turns number 1 and 2 this time around. And he's going to get that job done. Cade Donnelly's going to try and keep it on the outside, but it looks like he doesn't have anything. If Andy Barber can just keep that car on the inside line, Andy's going to try and play it nice and clean here. Andy doesn't want to wreck his race. Andy's decided, I'm going to go into pit lane. Let's go into pit lane, Andy Barber says. I'm going to get myself out of this battle, and I'm going to go into pit lane. So that's going to help Andy Barber in the undercut, but Scotty Rankin back at the lead at the moment. He's still deciding to stay out, Paul. So Scotty Rankin's still going. He's got 4.5 seconds, and that is ever increasing over Cade Donnelly at the moment. So Scott Rankin in the box seat of this one. When's he going to decide to pit? It's not this time around, Paul. So he's going to keep going and see where he ends up. So interesting strategy there by Andy Barber to come into pit lane. Well, he had a lot of pace, and I actually think he could have drove up onto the back of Scott Rankin there. His lap times were better, but obviously he didn't feel that was the way his strategy needed to go.
Well, if I look at the laps, and obviously lap 50 there, and a 151 lap race, Andy's breaking this down into 50 lap stints. So this time round in this pit stop, it'll just be fuel for Andy. He'll obviously use that pace that he has with those tyres that he's been saving, and come lap 100, some fresh tyres, and he'll be flying looking for that win.
Yeah, it will be, but it's the same for Scott Rankin at the front, so it's no real different. The thing with Scott Rankin, when he comes into pit lane, he won't take tyres, I'd suggest, either, but he's going to be stationary less than what Andy Barber was. Well, no, he won't be stationary less than this stop. This is interesting because unless they tune down their fuel, well, if Scott Rankin was smart here, he could take less fuel, and all he needs to do is get to lap 100, 101. So if he can take less fuel, he'll be stationary less here with no tyres and still be able to come out with a big lead and have a similar tyre set to Andy Barber behind him. So if he can tune it down and go, I'm going to take less fuel, because on the last stop, when you've got tyres, tyres take longer than fuel. So it's definitely, you don't really have a choice. So yeah, if Scott Rankin here can just dial it back and figure out how much he needs to get to that magic number before he goes in and gets the green set of tyres to the end, he's pretty much got this one sewn up. But I tell you what, it was a good strategy there by by Andy Barber. He's gone 3 laps down though now, Paul, so not sure what happened there with Andy, whether he got a pit lane hold.
Well, it looked like he pulled the car up all right coming into pit lane there, but this battle's still going on here with Aaron Bryan and Pete Matson there. He's up in second and third now as Kay Donnelly's been through pit lane. He's just come out and in front of them. Apparently 48 laps and there was a blown tyre already by Brett Campbell. And Darren McKenzie's saying, everyone's going to blow a tyre.
That's really interesting. So this is going to be interesting to watch whether Scott Rankin can manage this. And Andy Barber's obviously seen this early. That's why he's come in. That's a really interesting strategy. We've had a race like this before here on the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, and actually remember, Darren, if you are tuning in, mate, and I'll bring you up in the broadcast shortly, you were probably one of the people that did not benefit in that as much as everyone. You blew the tyre late. So this is interesting that people are blowing tyres around this. Obviously, the setup is not good enough to be able to run around there because we shouldn't be blowing tyres with double stints. So unless the drivers are just going too hard. But at the moment, we'll just focus on the lead of the race, and it is Scott Rankin at the front at the moment. Yeah. Scotty Rankin's got nearly a 10-second lead over Pete Matson. So yeah, interesting with all this tyre blown stuff, but we will bring Darren McKenzie up into the broadcast booth. He's not really going around at the moment. He's still in pit lane, so we'll bring him back up into the broadcast booth. DM Darren McKenzie, mate, have you got a copy?
Yeah, hey guys, how you going?
Yeah, good evening, champion. Mate, you're commenting on the stream. Everyone's going to blow a tyre, you think? Interesting setup here for the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. You were doing well. You obviously made friends with the outside wall, which was not ideal for your night. But yeah, how's the car feeling? Nashville Superspeedway doesn't really drive like a Superspeedway. You're definitely in the NASCAR and the trucks, obviously. And you're here in the SUPERCAR. So what's your thoughts on it? Like the blowing of the tyre and all that. Brett Campbell in the comments, just to let you know, he said 48 laps and one blown tyre already, not even driving it hard. Is that probably a similar sentiment to what you have to say?
Yeah, definitely. When I come in after hitting the wall, my front right was at 14%. The car still felt pretty good, but there's no way, I didn't know my tyre was that bad. It felt a lot better than what it was, and that's why we pitted Andy early to see where his tyres were at. He's doing a far better job than I was, so I think those guys that have stayed back early, Witcher and Raymond and all them guys, they seem to have backed it off early. They may be able to get the 75, 80 lap mark, but it's going to be tough for anyone that's trying to push it all.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll be back to you shortly, Darren, but we'll just quickly say Scotty Rankin, your leader at the moment, he's just decided to blink into pit lane. This won't be a tyre set change at the moment. This will just be a fuel drop, I'd suggest, but we'll see how that plays out. That allows Pete Matson to take the lead of the motor race. He's got 3 seconds better of Justin Witchy, your current championship leader and reigning champion. But back to you, Darren. Mate, but back to you, Darren. Looks like Aaron Bryan's just blown a tyre as well as we see him on the screen. But back to you, Darren, mate. Unfortunate tonight. Obviously, you know, hitting that wall didn't help you. You would have been up there somewhere. But, mate, different around Nashville Superspeedway, especially first time out in the supercar. We've seen a lot of different drivers up the front tonight than what we're not used to seeing. And they did have a lot of good pace. Not sure whether they're going to be able to get the job done with the W tonight, maybe overdriving it, but we see someone with so much experience like yourself getting caught out with that. How do you think these guys that, without wanting to say it, generally, you know, they get really good top tens and they really want to get the win, and how do you think they're going to manage this race?
I think, yeah, it's like you said, those guys that we don't normally see up the front are up the front tonight. I think they've been caught out. They haven't, like myself, didn't do any research into the tyre wear. They're pushing too hard for what the tyre can handle over what you need to get out of it.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. And as we say that, Justin Witcher's just taken the lead now too over Raymond Yeager, because Pete Matson and Barry Neal's just gone into pit lane. So obviously Justin Witcher, Raymond Yeager, they've done a little bit of laps around here with this setup. Of course they would, they're the league owners, so they're going to know exactly what this does. But they've taken the lead at the moment. But anyway, Darren, thanks for your time tonight, mate. Unfortunate with your incident. Hopefully we can see you back out there going around Nashville Superspeedway, at least just to get some points tonight. But thanks for joining us here on the InterSim Esports Network, and we'll put you back up with the team.
Yeah, no worries. I think I'm going to sit the rest out and help Andy try and figure out a way to beat these Pinnacle guys.
No worries, mate. We'll jump you back up there, and hopefully you can get the job done.
No worries. See ya.
See you, mate. Well, there we go, Blocker. The inside scoop there by DM Darren McKenzie. He's got his eyes set on Andy Barber getting this one down. He's showing 2 laps down at the moment. So this is long strategy play by the by Andy Barber in the Southern Stars Esports racing outfit. But Justin Witcher at the moment, as we're on board with, leading the way over Razor, Raymond Yeager and Gary Wellman. They'll have something to say about this one as well.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to probably have something to say about this race tonight with the tyres. So it's quite interesting. If it obviously it feels okay, but they're blowing tyres, then the handling of the car must still be pretty stable compared to the tyre wear.
Yeah, and that's exactly the feel I got then from Darren. You know, the car felt good. You wouldn't even know that the front tyres, we saw Justin Witcher just jump into pit lane, followed by Gary Wellman as well. But that's exactly the feel I got from Darren then. The car felt good. You didn't really... Normally, you can feel it. You can feel that your tyre's going to go off, and for him to come into pit lane, his front right was at 14%. That is crazy. But it's the same for everyone. So who's going to manage the tyre better, as Raymond Yeager's leading the way at the moment? He's going to get a bonus point for leading a lap. That is Andy Barber in front of him at the moment, but take no notice of that, ladies and gentlemen. That will change really, really quickly. Andy Barber's one we need to keep a little bit of an eye on. We were talking to Darren McKenzie. He has now pretty much sacrificed his race, and he is in the ear of Andy Barber and seeing how he can pull the 05 or the number 5 Southern Stars Esports Racing entry up to the point of this one. So this is long game for Andy Barber. But let's not take our eyes off the likes of Scotty Rankin, Pete Matson, Cade Donnelly, Gary Wellman, Barry Neal, your man. Never keep your eye off Barry Neal. He will always be there or thereabouts. He's obviously seen this happen early. That's why you don't see Barry Neal at the front at the moment. He's usually been at the front of these races, but he's thinking long game. He's thought that early, so possibly that's why we see Barry back there at the moment. He's in 7th position. That's nothing to be sneezed of, but there are different strategies happening everywhere. So do not turn your eyes away from the InterSim Esports Network. We are just about to get excited here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Who's going to be able to manage their tyre wear? Who's going to have the fuel strategy? That is the name of the game tonight, Paul.
Well, I can probably confirm a little bit of inside team stuff, and confirm that Barry would have done a little bit of practice around here this afternoon. So I did see in the comments on Discord there that he was looking for that setup for tonight's race. So Barry will probably have a little bit of an indication on what to expect over some of the other drivers. So that's possibly why we saw Barry drop right back out of this, as he probably already knew that tyre's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, but I tell you what, I still got to keep one eye on Andy Barber. I think he's seen this one coming early. Tommy Pritchard's the same. it's really weird to look at my live timing at the moment because you see cars lap down and you're thinking they've still got something to play in this, and I really think they do. It is Justin Witcher at the moment leading the way. He last come through pit lane on a lap 68. Razor Raymond Yeager, who's in second position, last down pit lane on 71. The cars behind them were down pit lane about 3, 4, 5, 6 laps less or shorter. But in saying that, they're only taking fuel. We haven't seen that last set of tyres. So this is the run where it's really imperative to get to your final set of tyres, Paul. So from what we've heard, it's very imperative. But in saying that, looking at the pit strategy times and pit everything, people might have taken their only set of tyres and tried to run it out to the end as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, obviously the drivers will have a bit of an indication on what their tyre wear is now, and even if they have been trying to save a little bit of tyre, you know, they're probably all going to be under that, or around that 50% at least for those who would have been saving the tyre. But just wonder if you start pushing that a little bit earlier for that next 50 odd laps, and you're not too careful and manage those tyres again for the next 50 to lap 100, then there could be a few more blown tyres in the second stint.
There could be, and might not need to have a look at, Paul, if I'm looking at my live timing and the pit strategy. Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager, they were only stationary for 18 to 19 seconds each through their pit stop. So they didn't take tyres through that pit stop. So they're double stinting this one, trying to get to that magic number to get to the end. They're still going all right. They went slower early in that first stint, and that's why they dropped back, because they knew that this was going to happen with the tyre wear. But then you go back to Scott Rankin in the third position at the moment. His pit lane's transition was 34.82, so he obviously did take tyres. So he's going to be quicker.
I just need to jump in here for a second, because the likes of Justin and Raymond, they pitted under that caution.
Correct.
So
correct.
So
they're going to be able to go longer on fuel.
Yeah, so Scott Rankin would have run his tank dry and would have needed a longer stop.
Yeah, I don't think that's 11 seconds though. I still think he took tyres, Paul. This is just my opinion. But he's going to have to manage that to the end, because Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager, if you watch this when they come into pit lane, which will be any lap now in the next couple of laps. Oh no, probably a little bit to go yet. They're going to have a fresh set to the end. I can just see that on the pit lane strategy, because even go back to Barry Neal. Well, Barry's 34 through pit lane. Cade Donnelly, 29. I'm thinking up in those 30s of people that took tyres to go through pit lane, and you can see Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager, they've been through pit lane twice or 3 times, and the drivers behind them are once or twice. So they still haven't taken tyres. So they're still managing their tyre at the front of this motor race, and they are going to be able to get a fresh set. And that's just me looking from the broadcast booth. If they don't have tyres, I tell you what, this race is going to get interesting at the end.
Well, I definitely think Justin and Raymond will have tyres in the bank. But I think what you touched on earlier with the short fuel stop to get to lap 100, as they obviously ran those cars longer to lap 68 and 71. The short fuel stop, I think that's the game they're playing. Run it to 100, then get those fresh set of tyres. But I still think that Scotty Rankin and possibly Barry Neal and even maybe Cade and Gary, I definitely think Gary will. They'll still have a set of tyres in the bank there as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's doing my head in looking at the pit lane transit, and I'm thinking, how can Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager go through pit lane, not get tyres, and do that as we see Scotty Rankin now jumping into pit lane out of the third position? But Gary Wellman and Barry Neal likes to have 35 seconds and not take tyres. It just does not make sense and compute with me. But I'm just a silly commentator, so what would I know, Paul? what would I know? And the drivers will tell us how that all plays out at the moment.
Well,
as
you need to
going.
get your driver hat on there because
I've got my son tuning into the broadcast ball. He goes, "Hey, Dad, you sound silly." Thank you, Tan Man. Love you, mate. I do sound silly. I know.
Well,
thank you for tuning in here on the InterSim Esports Network. Say good day to Tanner, Paul.
Well, Tanner, I've got to agree there. He definitely sounds silly because you got your commentator's hat on. Take that one off. Put your driver hat on because the fuel and tyre, it's still going to be the same, almost same times for a full tank fuel. So regardless of not taking tyres and an empty tank with a full fuel run, it's still going to be similar times.
Yeah, but I'm a simple person, so yeah, I got nothing. I'm overthinking it a little bit, but tell you what.
So Scotty Rankin there, his pit time then was 16 seconds. So there was definitely a splash of fuel there for Scott Rankin. Maybe we can get Scotty Rankin up in the booth and try and find out some of this info, Aiden.
Yeah, we'll pull him up in the booth, mate. I'll leave that to you as it's getting a little bit aggressive back there at the moment between Tristan Koch nearly getting into the back of Justin Witcher through the 3 and 4 turns. So we'll see what happens there. But you can bring him up into the booth, mate. I'll leave that to you. And just purely because I don't want to throw him under the bus. So that can be your job as Pete Madsen has a big dive down there into turns 1 and 2 this time around.
Well, just because I can see, I can go and see what Scotty Rankin's doing, and he almost hits the wall there. So
why don't you pull him up, mate? You got to pull him up. Come on.
Yeah, now I'll bring him up because there's no one around. But if I brought him up right then, he probably would have hit the wall then. So did a good job there not to bring him up. See.
Well, I'll just pull him up anyway. Oh, there he is.
You're too slow. So Scotty Rankin, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a hard copy, mate. How are you this evening?
Yeah, pretty good. Paul there and Hayden in the booth, and just wanted to find out some of the goss around the track here tonight with you. So the first,
so there's shreds on my tyre sitting about halfway down the back stretch when it pops. So that's the goss.
So what lap was that?
80, lap 80. It went.
Well, it's good that you got to lap 80 there, mate. Sorry to jump in there, Paul. It's good you got to lap 80 because there's other drivers. They were lucky to get to lap 50 before it went kaboom.
Yeah, look, and I actually stretched. So what happens with iRacing for the viewers that are out there as well, once you get the meatball flag for a tyre puncture or any other damage to your car, that flag specifies that you have to pit. I then have 3 laps to serve that flag. I literally used all of those laps to serve that flag because I needed the space in the tank to try and have a crack at making it home from here. I think we're still short, in which case Raymond Jaeger's on the best strategy. I think he's the guy that's probably going to win this so far tonight.
That's interesting to hear because I'm looking at... I thought Raymond Jaeger and Justin Witcher were on a better strategy. I thought they backed off early and they knew the tyre game. I'm keeping one eye on Andy Barber, although he's still a lap down. I don't know whether he's going a little bit too slow at the moment. But, yeah, it's an interesting strategy. Were you thinking coming into this race that tyres were going to be a big issue? Obviously, Nashville Superspeedway doesn't really race like a superspeedway. It's a totally different track to navigate, especially in the supercar. And the first time the Australasian Supercar eSeries came to Nashville Superspeedway, were you expecting these tyres to wear so quick so early?
I've done a lot of stock car racing here, and actually very, very recently, and it was all tyres. It was literally about tyres, making sure that you can make the tyres last that fuel window to get yourself in the position to make it home if you needed to. So, yes, I had a feeling that they were going to be an issue. It's tricky, though. So, with the position that I was in, if you think back, Kay Donnelly comes past me on that restart. I was humming and hawing about whether I should pit, but generally when you're the lead car and you're only a couple of laps in, you just save fuel onto the caution because you don't want to give up that track position. Now, yes, it's all about taking it easy on the car, and there are a couple of different ways that you can manage it, but at the same time, you've still got to make sure you're punching a reasonable enough pace that you're putting yourself in the right zone to win this thing.
Well, we'll see how that plays out at the moment, mate. But there's some good insight there from Scotty Rankin, commentator come racer, mate, or racer come commentator, whichever way you want to put it. But there we go, mate. A bit of an insight there from Scotty Rankin.
You want some more insight for you? How about I've got Heisenfeld pedals. I've actually already reached out to Brett from HRS Simulations. His customer service is on point, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. I reached out to him about 4 o'clock this afternoon and said, hey, my Heisenfeld pedals, the USB connector on the back of them's gone, and it's actually smoking because it's not making a good contact. So there was some emergency repairs done to the rig this afternoon, and I'm on my old pedals at the moment. Not doing too bad for the old tweak and get in.
Mate, don't worry about that. I still run G29 and give you the run, so that's fine. Don't worry about that. But that is great, great customer service. But Scotty, mate, we hope to see you up the front in this one. Thanks for making yourself available here on the InterSim Esports Network.
Mate, absolute pleasure to join you boys in the booth as always. You go have yourselves a good one. There's a race out there to call.
Apparently there is, and hopefully you're up the front at the end of this one. So we'll do our best. We'll get you to put Scotty Rankin up into his booth there, Paul, because you brought him down. So let him do that. But
so yeah, we'll put him back up there. So yeah, Aiden. So that first pit stop, 34 odd seconds, was without tyres. There was a full tank fuel,
wow,
and it only took him 16 seconds to tyre change in that stop when he blew his tyres. So it might have got a little bit of fuel in the tank in that 16 seconds. He's missed the pit lane.
So Raymond Yeager, the man who was on the good strategy, who was lucky to pull that one up and actually get it into pit lane. That's not going to help him long term, Paul, but he got that one pulled up. Apparently Raymond was on the best strategy from Scotty's opinion. We'll see how that plays out as Kate Donnelly takes the lead of the motor race again, once again. So Kate Donnelly going to be due to pit any time now. He can last come down pit lane on lap number 52. As my pad tyres just having too much fun on me. Gary Wellman coming into pit lane. Looks like he's going to take the easy route. He's going to come on the inside line as we go back to Aaron Bryan. Aaron Bryan starting out of P2. He's now moved his way back up into P3 after making his way right to the back of the race early in this one. Barry Neal's made his way into pit lane as well. Gary Wellman, as I said. Raymond Yeager's showing us out at the moment. But we'll see what happens. No, he's still going. He's still in the live timing. So Raymond Yeager still out there at the moment. So it's all happening. People are coming into pit lane. Let's take the opportunity, I'd suggest, Paul, at the moment. Let's go on board with Scotty Rankin, who we just spoke to. He's not due to go into pit lane at the moment, so we can get a couple of laps out of the number 15 of Scott Rankin. Let's go on board around the Nashville Superspeedway with Scotty Rankin and turn up the sound and enjoy these supercars around Nashville Superspeedway here on the InterSim Esports Network. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a lap or two around Nashville Superspeedway, albeit quick. Scotty Rankin having a nice pedestrian drive at the moment, Paul. We did jump on with him, I know. We do apologise. It was probably a little bit boring to watch going around not being in a battle, but it was probably a good chance for you to just hear the supercar without anything around you and any driver around Scott Rankin, to be able to hear it go around the Nashville Superspeedway. But I tell you what, someone I'm really impressed with tonight, Paul, is Peter Matson, the RayWhite Rural Gayndah entry, the 173. Started out at the 10th position. He's up into 4th, up 6 spots. He's there at the moment, and he's chasing down Scott Rankin. He was last through pit lane lap 80, only 1 lap earlier than Scott Rankin. He's having a great drive there in the 173.
Yeah, it's good to see Peter Matson up there and having a good run there and up 6 positions, as you mentioned there, from P10. So good to see Pete having a good run, and hopefully we'll see Pete on a podium spot come the end of the race.
Yeah, we saw him in the podium, what was it, 1 or 2 weeks ago? First podium he had for the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. No, he didn't get a win. I think he was on the podium. Anyway, it was his first podium, and he was damn happy with that one. It was well deserved. And he is the naming rights sponsor of this series, and he is a forever supporter. He just keeps showing up every week, and it's good to see him up here having a good run. So he's in there in 4th at the moment. Justin Witcher making the move there on Tristan Koch at the moment. Tristan Koch going a lap down. He's already a lap down, but Justin Witcher showing a lot of speed in the number 1 car, flying the number 1 because he is the reigning champion of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries and the championship leader coming into this round. This is the second to last round that we're going to bring you here for the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries before we go away for our little Christmas break and have too much pudding and too many Christmas cakes and whatever you do around Christmas time. Excuse me. But Justin Witcher definitely doing everything at the moment to try and consolidate that lead at the front, Paul. He is sitting back there in 5th at the moment, the way these strategies play out. As we're 105 into 151, he's put his car in a good position. Raymond Yeager, as you heard from Scotty Rankin, he put his car in a good position, and he thinks Raymond was the one to win this one. But at the moment, Justin Witcher has pretty much trumped that, and he looks like he is the one to take the lead of this motor race at some stage, because Cade Donnelly, Christopher Finlay, Scott Rankin and Pete Matson still need to serve one more pit stop. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, Paul.
Well, I don't think Scott Rankin and Peter Matson are going to need to pit again, because we know that Scott Rankin managed to get... Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, funny you say that. My son's just tuned in again. Tanner's just tuned into the chat. Tanner's just tuned into the chat. He says Raymond Yeager's strategy, he thinks it's better. Later we'll have fresher tyres. So that's not a bad strategy call there, Tanner. Justin Witcher, obviously his teammate, is on a similar strategy, and Raymond Yeager only a second down the road there behind Justin Witcher. So good call there, Tanner. I think Tanner's on the Pinnacle Esports train at the moment, Paul. Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager. Scotty Rankin was feeling that was the same way, so we'll see how that plays out. So Christopher Finlay pretty much a sitting duck at the moment. It's showing me on his live timing that, he's a lap down at the moment. So I don't know why that's not updating for me. So not sure where Christopher Finlay is at the moment. But Raymond Yeager, he's okay, yep. So Christopher Finlay second. He was last through pit lane on 45, so he's not going to be able to go much longer. He's not a part of this one. But Raymond Yeager, definitely one to look out for here. He come into pit lane on lap 95 as opposed to Justin's lap 92. So I think Tanner is completely on the money here. Have a look at Raymond Yeager as this plays on. Cade Donnelly, this is the lead. Cade Donnelly is going into pit lane. Is he going to get it pulled up? He does so. He has Gary Wellman, I believe that is, behind him. Christopher Finlay behind him into pit lane. So that's going to give Cade Donnelly's in, sorry. That's going to give Scott Rankin and Pete Matson the lead of the motor race as they come around the strike this time around. But I tell you what, Pete Matson in the 173, showing a lot of pace late in this one. He's got something to bring to Scott Rankin. Justin Witcher only a second behind this little battle, and Raymond Yeager only a second behind it as well. So it's definitely a lot to play out. Scotty Rankin's got to come through pit lane, I'd suggest. So does Pete Matson. Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager sitting in the box seat at the moment. So we'll see how that plays out. We're 110 into 151, 41 to go here for the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries, and it is Scotty Rankin leading the way this time across the strike pool.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see how this fuel run's going to play out. So Kate Donnelly, they're back out of pit lane, and he had a 27.4 second pit stop there. Christopher Finlay 28.1, who was in P2 there. So yeah, interesting to see. So it'll be a big matter of if Scott and Peter can try and save the fuel to get home. Otherwise, yeah, as we said, you know, Justin Witcher, Raymond Yeager, even Gary Wellman there, and Barry Neal there as well. They're all sitting pretty at the moment in the P3 to P6.
They are. Kate Donnelly's going to be quick in the back end of this one as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm not sure from what we spoke about. Scott Rankin, no, I don't. No, Cade won't have tyres, no, but I don't think Scott Rankin and Pete Matson, I do not think they can save enough to be able to do, what are we, 51, 61, to nearly do 80 laps around Nashville Superspeedway with 75% fuel. I tell you what, you'll be struggling. But if they do, and they do get the job done, they're smarter than us here on the Esports Network. But we'll see how that plays out. Scotty Rankin at the moment leading the way, extending the gap there over Justin Witcher, who's got the job done on Pete Matson. Looks like Pete Matson's coming into pit lane, so he's decided, no, I can't make it to the end. So if he can't make it to the end, neither can Scott Rankin. But in saying that, Paul, is lap 95 and lap 92 enough to get to the end on 151 for the likes of Raymond Yeager and Justin Witcher? Is that enough to get to the end if we're looking at that fuel strategy? They only came in 10 laps prior to 10 laps after Scotty Rankin and Pete Matson. Is that enough to get them to the end?
So for Justin, 59 laps, and for Raymond, you got 56 laps. So Raymond's definitely in the better position there, so Justin may need to try and save a little bit of fuel to make that home. But Scott Rankin, I think, managed to pull out about 60-odd laps, or close to, in that first stint, so they may be okay.
Yeah, well, Scotty Rankin lasts through on 81, 60 laps. He's going to definitely fall short by about 10 laps. 60 laps, yeah. So Justin Witcher's going to be definitely borderline on this one if he doesn't save Raymond Yeager in the box seats, or as Tanner said, Yeager's strategy I think is better later. We'll have fresher tyres and definitely better on the fuel strategy. So one, also other people not to turn a blind eye to is Gary Wellman. He was down pit lane lap 96, as was Barry Neal in 4th and 5th. So these are not people to take your eyes off at the moment either. Andy Barber, don't know what's going on with his strategy at the moment. He's sitting back there in 8th position. He's going to have to pit again as well, so it's going to leave him a little bit stranded in this motor race. But
well, I can confirm that Scott Rankin entered pit lane on lap 61 for his first pit stop.
Wow, there we go. Oh, Andy Barber just getting really tight there through the 3 and 4 turns, and that allows Gary Wellman to get down the inside. Tristan Koch is trying to repay the favour there too and come down in turn number 1 and 2, but he's going to just play it nice and safe into the 1 and 2 turns. My Aussie Esports teammate just playing it nice and safe there, trying not to get in the road of anyone else. But yeah, this strategy at the moment, it's all up in the air. But everyone tuning in here on the Indesim Esports Network, make sure you comment, let us know that you're tuning in, let us know who your favourite driver is. We've got a big announcement coming up here. Actually, we've got another announcement, Paul. We might as well do that. We're 119 into 151. We pretty much totally forgot about it all night because the racing has just been that amazing. We haven't been able to take our eyes off it. So how about you jump across and give a bit of an announcement. We're going into a little bit of a hiatus here on the InterSim Esports Network, but we've been afforded an amazing opportunity. So I'll let Paul bring all that information to you.
Alrighty, so yeah, as you know, obviously we were looking at winding things up for Christmas and having a bit of a break and getting back into some racing and that. But with the changes, obviously with yourself there, Aidan, with starting the global iRacing leagues, if I got that right, and taking over full throttle there, and obviously you'll have a lot on your hands there, and running a few leagues there, and then we want to get back into the V8 racing here, which is quite a fun series there. So anyone watching, if you want to jump in this series, I'd highly recommend it, as we have had a run in this series before, and
probably not very successfully, but anyway, we have a run.
Speak for yourself, because we dominated. I dominated with Barry in the early season when it first started. So
now we can't let you go too hard. But anyway, sorry,
absolutely.
I digress.
But it was in the old Commodore, so
that's where you went wrong.
If they can put the legends back in there, then I think we'd still dominate. So in the newer cars it might be a different story, but getting sidetracked here a bit. So this Wednesday coming, we have the round 1, that's right, round 1 of the MSR League TCR. So with the recent update to iRacing and the introduction of the Honda Civic and the Hyundai, which will be joining the Audi R8 there. Round 1 of MSR League Wednesdays coming. So round 1 is at Bathurst. It's a 6-week league, so a nice short league there that'll start this Wednesday and run over the break. So while the leagues are in downtime, then this will be a good one to get around. Little nice short season there. You can find MSR League on Facebook, and if you look up MSR League on iRacing as well, and apply to that league there.
Yeah, definitely do that. I'd have to second to that, and I spoke with you with Jai Schultz, and he's got a good last name too, by the way.
Here we go.
I spoke to him with you earlier today, Paul, and him and his admin team are the people putting this on, and it's going to be an absolutely sensational league. I purchased the TCR car this week, and it's a front-wheel drive car, and it's pretty much like the 2-litre touring cars, I'd like to say, what I put them to. I know we've seen Gentlemen Sim Racing Club and different people run these cars, but these guys are putting on this league, and it's going to be absolutely sensational racing. At the moment, they've already got about 25 people in there. They've got 50 people registered for the league, so we're going to see some great fields for TCRs, and it's going to be an absolute pleasure to bring all the action here on the InterSim Esports Network. We look forward to bringing you all that here live. We came off the ProCar GTE Championship, which is pretty much our only road course league that we've brought, and we're looking forward to bringing you another road course league here on the InterSim Esports Network.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be exciting with the new Honda Civic and Hyundai there. So I can't wait to see how they're going to fare up against the Audi. As I've done a little bit in the Audi, but wasn't too much of a fan of the front-wheel drive. So I do like my slide jobs, and couldn't quite get to terms with the front-wheel drive there. So it'll be good to see anyway, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun and a nice short league there for 6 weeks starting this Wednesday. So get amongst it, and we'll get that flyer posted up on our Facebook page as well, so you can get all those details after the broadcast.
We will do that, and if you want the invite to the Discord and everything, get a hold of us here on the InterSim Esports Network. You know where to find us personally on Discord, so jump into that if you want to be a part of that series. That'll be amazing. Looking forward to bringing that to you. But in saying that, Paul, yet another league we'd love to be running, and we're broadcasting again, so go be it.
Well, it's always the way, isn't it? We have, you get the opportunity to broadcast it, and we love bringing the content to everyone here at InterSim Esports Network, and the viewers at home, and everyone getting amongst it and getting involved in the chat and that, and sit back, and we wish we were out on the track with you. But it's always great to broadcast it though, so everyone can be involved with it as well.
Yeah, most definitely. But let's go on board with the driver at the moment. Probably go on board with Barry Neal. Let's just do a couple of laps. Give us the chance to catch our breath. We're 130 into 151. I'll go away. I'll grab myself a drink. I'll get ready to settle in to bring you the last 20 laps here around Nashville Superspeedway for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. What a better man but Paul's teammate in Barry Neal. Let's go on board right now in the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Well, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. There is a couple of laps around Nashville Superspeedway with the 22 of Barry Neal from Gayndah Racing. And that is my 400th attempt at trying to say it. How close did I go, Paul?
Oh, you're pretty close there. So I think if you slow it down a little bit, you might just get the pronunciation a little bit better there. But you're pretty close there, Aiden. So it was a good job. But a little bit of news in the team booth today. So you might have noticed that on iRacing they had a Logitech G Challenge across some of the driving series, and Barry actually raced in that. So the Asia Pacific region, and for the stock car oval racing. And Barry actually finished third in that for Asia Pacific. So the semi-finals there. The semi-finals, he finished third. So originally, before COVID times, that would have meant a all expenses paid trip to Vegas for Barry, along with 15 other drivers. But obviously, because of COVID, and that can't happen. So the finals are going to be on the virtual iRacing network there, not live in person, and that'll be in January. So hopefully Barry can take the chocolates in that one.
Hopefully he can. What sensational job there by Barry. We'd all love to be a part of that. We spend too much time broadcasting. We can't be a part of that. But I did see that, the Logitech series. I was looking at getting a part of that, but I'm too busy doing broadcasting, etc., and now running leagues. So, but Barry, absolutely amazing job. And if you watch this broadcast back, mate, well deserved. We will all be rooting for you, mate, and tuning in, hoping that you can bring home the chocolates there for New Zealand and for the iRacing community here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. But, well, we're 138 into 151. I need to just quickly say as well, for everyone tuning in, or all the drivers, everything that watches this back, Full Throttle Sim Racing Leagues has now changed to Global iRacing Leagues. I am the man running that. Don't mean to do a bit of self-promotion here, but it will now be Global iRacing Leagues, everything you can see. So going into 2022, it will change. It will not be the same as what you see and you're used to seeing through the Full Throttle Sim Racing Leagues, give you a little bit of an idea, and if you want to jump in and be a part of what we're doing, on a Monday night, we will be running the IndyCars, and it will be the real world schedule, 16 weeks, and it'll be as per the real world schedule. So you can jump into that. Of course, it'll be a fixed setup. Everything's fixed setup through the global iRacing leagues. We'll then go on to a Tuesday night where we'll be running the Gen 6 NASCARs as opposed to the NASCAR Next Gens. We decided to go Gen 6 because I know the NASCAR Next Gens, as we see Scott Rankin going into pit lane, but NASCAR Next Gens have a little bit of updates to do yet, and we're just going to allow them to do those updates as Raymond Yeager making the move down underneath Justin Witcher at the moment. But they've got a few updates there to go, so we decided it'd be good to run the Gen 6. So it'll be a full 36-38 round series. You can find that at Global iRacing Leagues. That'll start in February next year. And we'll also be doing a Friday night TCR series as well on a Friday night. So if you want to get amongst TCRs outside of the Wednesday night league that we're going to be broadcasting, we'll be doing a TCR league on a Friday night. We'll probably do 4 leagues a year, so 4 10-round series. So jump into Global iRacing Leagues across Facebook, and you will be able to get amongst that. Of course, you can do that through iRacing. But anyway, there's the self-promotion. Let's go back to the race. It is Raymond Yeager leading the way. We're on board with Barry Neal at the moment, sitting in the 3rd position. Steve Hoppett tuning into the broadcast as well, giving his big support to Barry Neal. And thank you for tuning in here, Steve, on the IndySim Esports Network. Always a avid viewer here. Hopefully we're doing you justice. We love bringing all the action here on the IndySim Esports Network. Scotty Rankin's back to 7th. Aaron Bryan, you're on board now at the moment. He's in 6th. He's got Rankin driving right up into the back of him at the moment. And Scotty Rankin's going to have those fresh tyres, I believe, Paul. And he's going to try and make his way back up and see how he can, what he has in the back end of this one. But 144 and 151, this is one for Raymond Yeager to lose at the moment as he tries to make the move there on a back marker. Justin Witcher going backwards at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And this is the difference on pit strategy. This is the difference on where they pitted. There was a 3-lap difference, and you can see now Raymond Yeager making all guns blazing at the front of this one, Paul, with 145 and 151. And I tell you what, Tanner Schultz, my son, just tuned in. He goes, called it, but never too late. Tanner has called it at the moment, but it's definitely a long way to go. Even though it's only about 5 laps, anything can happen.
Well, Tanner made a better call than you, Aiden. Maybe we need to get Tanner in the booth for the race.
Well, we
calling.
Can actually do that. we can actually do that. We can actually do that. Tanner knows what Discord is, so we could have him up in the booth and have a chat. He'd love that. So. Yeah, but Tanner, thanks for tuning in, mate. Miss you, mate, and look forward to seeing you on Christmas Eve. But if you want to jump up into the broadcast booth, feel free. But Barry Neal now in 3rd place. He's got a little bit of action here with Gary Wellman trying to make the move on the outside line. So this is getting a bit spicy for the minor positions on the podium as they make their way down the back stretch around Nashville Superspeedway. Gary Wellman getting a little bit of pace late in this one. And it looks like he's going to get the job done on the outside of Barry Neal going down the main straight this time. But Barry's not going to give this one up easy. Barry's not part of that Logitech challenge and not into the semi-finals without being a good steerer. So we'll see what happens here. But Gary Wellman's still holding it on the outside at the moment. They are about 6 seconds behind. Gary Wellman gets the job done now. So looks like he's made the move into P3. They're about 6 seconds behind the leader of Raymond Yeager and Justin Witcher at the moment. They've got a long way to catch up. Justin Witcher dropping a lot of time, as you can see that on my live timing at the moment. So the gap between Gary Wellman and Justin Witcher dropping a lot. Yeah, he's in big trouble. He's blown a tyre, I reckon. I reckon he's blown a tyre. He is in big trouble. Scotty Rankin getting past him.
That front right we just saw there is on a pretty bad angle there. I wonder if he's even hit the wall, possibly.
Possibly, but even if he's got the black flag, he's only got 2 to go. So we'll have a look at that front right. Yeah, he's blown a tyre. He's blown a front right on that one. So he's just trying to get around to the end at the moment. Gary Wellman's going to be licking his lips, seeing his relative completely drop. Barry's going to be loving this as well. So have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You can even hear that on your screen. We've got 1 lap to go. Can Justin Witcher get that car around? Is he going to get a black flag? He's going to be able to get through there because he can serve it within 3 laps. Barry Neal's gone. It's my time. You can see in the background Barry Neal's trying to make the move on Gary Wellman. This is the fight for the final places on the podium, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Neal blinking out a little bit, as it will be Raymond Yeager leading the way and winning the next round. Here we go as we go through the final corner, and it's going to be Gary Wellman, and Justin Witcher holds on for P number 3. And, oh my God. I tell you what, mate, for a race that's 151 laps around Nashville Superspeedway, Raymond Yeager just a class above tonight. Thank you, Tanner, for the strategy there, mate. You absolutely killed it. I need to buy you a race car or something, but don't do that. It'll make me poor. Raymond Yeager, sensational job. Justin Witcher, although he finished in P3, your championship leader and reigning champion, still some good solid results. Barry Neal, so close to getting a P3 there, Paul.
Yeah, definitely, and there's a bit of hard luck there. So, yeah, Raymond definitely managed his tyres quite well, and that's why he brought home the P1 tonight. Justin obviously pushing a little bit too hard in that last stint there and blew his tyre, so he was lucky to hold on to that P3.
He definitely was, but I'll just go through and have a look at what is going on. So we have... Okay, so... Sorry, I'm back with you. But, yeah, Raymond Yeager, the winner tonight. What a sensational job from Raymond Yeager. We'll go through the results here tonight, here for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Your winner was Raymond Yeager from Pinnacle Esports there over Gary Wellman in the 2nd position. Justin Witcher home in P3. Barry Neal in P4. Kay Donnelly P5. Scotty Rankin come home in P6. Aaron Bryan P7. Tristan Koch P8. Pete Matson in the 9th position. Andy Barber in the 10th. Christopher Finlay come home in 11th position tonight. Tom Pritchard in 12th. Ash Nessa in 13th position. Philip Howe in 14th position. We go through the drivers that had a rough night tonight. Brett Campbell, Darren McKenzie, John Quass, Derek Jacobs, which rounds out your 18-car starters tonight, as Raymond Yeager's having a fat time, having a bit of celebration tonight.
Well, I think he was just trying to wear out the other tyres there, because he went around the track backwards, or in the opposite direction, and then come to do some more burnouts. So he's definitely pretty chuffed that he got the win over Justin, I think.
Yeah, I think he's chuffed. He's still going. He's still doing burnouts. He wants to completely ruin those tyres. So Tanner just tunes into the chat, said Barry Neal had a good drive, Paul. So Tanner's got a little bit for Barry. So Tanner tuning in, Barry from New Zealand. Paul's New Zealander as well. So great drive there by Barry Neal as well, Paul. So Tanner giving him a bit of kudos there for you, mate.
Yeah, thanks there, Tanner, and I'm sure Barry will appreciate that one too. But Raymond must have a lot of tread on those tyres still to be still doing burnouts. So
I'd much rather him be up here talking to us in the broadcast booth, but he's too busy celebrating. It's his first win here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries Season 2, so he's definitely got to be happy about that one. Now he's finally joining us, so we'll bring him up here into the broadcast booth. We've brought G-Dub up, we're bringing Justin Witcher up, and we will now bring Raymond Jaeger up. But we will start off with your third place getter tonight, Justin Witcher, mate, rating champion coming into the round, series leader. Blew a front right tyre at the end of that one by the looks of it, mate, and did a good job to hold on for P3.
Yeah, I was just saying to the boys then, I was a bit surprised. We thought we'd be able to go pretty hard for the last stint, taking tyres on lap 92 or 93. But yeah, must have gone a bit harder than what Raymond and Gary did by the looks.
Yeah, well, it was a night of tyre strategy because we saw some other drivers that were out earlier. Like, we were speaking to Scotty Rankin up in the broadcast earlier as well when he was leading the way. And we saw some drivers actually be out of the race early because, you know, they blew a front right 45, 48 laps in. So you guys obviously knew what it was going to be like around here. We've all raced Nashville Superspeedway through the NASCAR and the trucks. Obviously, Supercars a lot different. Did you know it was going to be tight? Because we saw that you backed off a lot early and you were nearly half a lap behind and you were trying to manage those tyres. So was that your strategy the whole night?
Yeah, we knew that the double stint was going to be a stretch towards the end, and if you had gone hard at any time, you'd struggle to make the double stint work, or get to the end of the double stint on the tyres. But I'm going to take half of Raymond's win away from him. I definitely come up with a strategy. He just drove better.
There we go. There we go, Raymond. He's his first winner, and you've just taken it away from him, mate. Well done.
No, it's it was a great drive by him. But yeah, I think I was so shocked. I think all of us were shocked that, like I said, we thought we'd be able to do 50, 60 laps at full pace. But mine just didn't handle it. So, but no, we definitely knew that tyres were going to play a big part. It was just when you sort of tried to work in your fuel at the same time.
Well, mate, at the end of the day, you extended your championship lead. You come in with an absolute astonishing lead, to be honest, compared to last season where you got the W and got the chockies. Coming into this point of the series, you've only got one round to go before you go to the Christmas break. You got an astonishing lead over the rest of the competitors, and mate, you're definitely looking good to go back to back and really get your title back again here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, mate. So good job there in P3. Even to go come in P3 tonight, you're going to extend the lead at the front.
Yeah, it's been a good run the last few weeks. We had 2 wins and a podium. So, once you start, it's the last 4 races. I think it happened last year as well. We had a lead, and then, we're just trying to manage it. And you seem to get stuck in more accidents and that and more issues when you try and do that. But, we'll get through next week being a road race. I'm sure the Sim guys will be up there and it'll be battle. Keep it clean there, and then I think it's just 2 weeks after Christmas to go. So,
well, mate, you've been doing a sensational job. Hopefully, we see you to go back to back, but there's going to be a lot of drivers nipping at your heels. There's still a long way to go, even albeit only 3 rounds. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your third place getter tonight for the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. It was your reigning champion and your current championship leader, the number 1 of Justin Witcher. But it moves us straight across to your second place getter tonight, Gary Wellman. Mate, you must have got the Mustang out of the shed and done a couple of sick burnouts or done something to get yourself excited tonight, because you had a great run, mate, up there in P2. We didn't speak about you a lot tonight, but nice, solid run. And I'm sure you would have thought you would have had something for Raymond. You're a little bit too far back, but good run to get the P2 there, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise to pip Justin on the line there. I thought it was just a race between me and Barry, and then I saw Justin coming into view, and well, look out, she's not over yet. But no, awesome drive by Ray there to get the win. I'd be pretty happy with that, I reckon, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was definitely happy. If you look at his burnouts on the broadcast and you go back, I didn't think I was going to get a chance to have a chat with him. I thought he'd still be doing burnouts now. But, mate, I bet this series is one you want to rue because you started off the first couple of rounds and you had a couple of podiums, couple of wins. Then you went away with stuff you had in your personal life, things like that, and you missed a couple of rounds. I bet this is the one that you wish you couldn't have missed those rounds because you definitely would have been in contention.
Yeah, probably would have been a bit more of a threat to Justin, but yeah, end of the day, yeah, I'm happy. It's I think my worst result was last week, and that was a sixth place. So yeah, I'm just happy to have a bit of consistency this year and just keep learning.
Well, we saw Christopher Finlay out there tonight. He hadn't made a run for a couple of rounds, or he's made a couple of runs. We didn't see Aaron Dillon out there tonight. Cade Donnelly, another night that could have been for him. But the Sim Boys Racing entries always doing well up the front of this one, mate. But I know you always say not many to thank, but a chance to thank everyone involved for your P2.
Yeah, I saw the boys, and yeah, a bit of a shout out to Troy. He separated his shoulder or something the other week, so he needs surgery, so he'll be out of action for a while too. But no, I mean, it's a good night tonight. I was just learning a bit off Barry and Justin. Usually I watch them a bit at the start, see what they're doing, so that probably just helped me strategy a bit. But yeah, but otherwise, yeah, just the Sim Boys, all the boys every Friday, have a good time. And you guys, Australian Supercars eSeries, Sim Racing Edge, RayWhite, Gayndah, and yeah, Witcher Electrics, I guess.
No worries, mate. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your second place getter tonight. It was the 45 of Gary Wellman, the Sim Boys Racing entry. That moves us straight across to your winner, Razor, the big Razor, Raymond Jaeger. Mate, you're up in the W. You've got the chockies done. It's been a long time between drinks, mate. You got the W tonight.
Mate, it has been a long time, so absolutely stoked with that one. Pretty happy that Justin blew his right rear at the end there just to make sure I could win. But yeah, as I said, don't win too many, so pretty stoked.
Mate, that's being a little bit modest. You win a lot more than what you say. But from an Australasian Supercar eSeries standpoint, you've had a bit of bad luck. You've always been up there and you're the runner or the owner of the Australasian Supercar eSeries or admin, along with a lot of people. But, mate, that was absolutely a masterclass around Nashville Superspeedway tonight. You knew the long game, you knew how to run it, and you just executed it perfectly.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a chat during, I guess, qualifying. Me and Justin had a chat that it was probably going to be a tyres race. So we sort of thought we'll sort of hang back, look after him as much as we can. As Justin said, he came up with a strategy to sort of short fuel on the first stop and not take tyres, and then fill full on the last stop and take tyres. But when I just went with that strategy because he's been making great strategy calls last few weeks, and I figured may as well listen to the best strategy guy there is and then just drive better than him. So that's what I did.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy to hear that because he's the reigning champion and leading the championship, and you just said that you just drove better than him. So I'm sure he's not going to be happy to hear that, but he'll definitely be happy to see his Pinnacle Esports teammate up taking the W tonight, and you got a Pinnacle Esports 1 and 3. So we didn't see Greg Spencer, we didn't see a couple of other teammates in there tonight, but good job nonetheless there, mate, to get your W. It's good to see you back up in the winning position here on the InterSim Esports Network.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, don't win many, so pretty happy, especially in this series. Don't win too many, so happy with that. It's always fun to take the piss out of Justin, just telling him that I drove better, which I mean I usually do, but he's just better. He's just better on strategy and road courses, mate. That's what it is, you know.
Ouch. I'm sure Justin's not going to handle that, and you'll have a bit of a debrief after this one. But anyway, mate, big congratulations tonight. Sensational job, class above. Big shout out to everyone for your P1 tonight.
Yeah, obviously the other boys in the team, Justin, he does a great job, and like I said, he came up with a strategy tonight that got us the win. So happy with that. Matt Patton, Nigel Patton, Greg Spencer, all help out as well. Greg was in the chat with us, keeping us up to date on where Barry was, because we knew he was trying a bit of a different strategy to us, and he's always a threat. So we keep an eye on him, keep an eye on where Cade was, things like that. So Greg helped out a whole heap as well. But in terms of the sponsors, 186, Speech and Language Development Australia, CarWorks, Witcher Electrics, the Sim Racing Edge, who provide all our setups. On the league side, RayWhite, Rural Gayndah, we could not do it without them. The help they give us is immense. Obviously, Sim Racing Edge is on board with the league as well, and Witcher Electrics as well. So, yeah, pretty stoked. But we go to a road course next week, so I won't talk to you next week.
Well, Raymond, you're going to need more teammates to keep an eye on our team next season.
Look, we're not too worried about you. We'll just look in the fence, mate, and I'm sure we'll find you.
Well, it'll be because you put me there, so you know.
Yeah, quite possible, mate. Quite possible. Nah, we always have some good fun races, me and you. So I'm pretty excited to see you boys back out on the track. Hopefully, we'll have some news on a broadcaster for next season, but nothing announced yet.
I've already got the championship sewn up before I even get there, so I don't know why you didn't bother coming next season, to be honest, but we'll worry about that next year.
Just put Indianapolis on the roster there, because we know Greg loves it, and we have a good race there, Raymond.
That's good. Indy 400 will be on every roster. Don't worry about that.
Can we just do the Indy 400 12 weeks in a row? And
jeez, that's going to be an attrition season, that one.
But anyway, mate, congratulations tonight, mate. Great job on your P1. So we'll let you go back and have a chat to your teammates and debrief this one. But your P1 tonight was Raymond Yeager from Pinnacle Esports Racing. Gary Wellman, Simboys Racing, there in P2. Justin Witcher, your championship leader, came home in P number 3. But it doesn't stop here on the Indesim Esports Network, Paul. We thought we were going to try and rein it up a little bit coming into the Christmas period, and that is not how it has evolved. But we will be live next on Friday night for on Wednesday night for the MSR League, where we'll go TCR racing around Bathurst. You'll be live here on the Indesim Esports Network from about 7 p.m. rather, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, wherever you may be. TCR racing around Bathurst. We look forward to bringing you all that action. Then on Friday night, we'll be back with you for the NASCAR Next Gen Series for what will be the 10th round, the Nevada 200 from the final round, the Shake and Bake 200 from Talladega Superspeedway. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, getting really confused with the dates here, but it will be 76 laps around Talladega Superspeedway, which will be the final round of the simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series. I tell you what, that series has got a lot to go on Friday night. Next week, we do have a big battle at the front between Norman Clark and the likes out of New Zealand. So Brad Fenley's got something to play about this one as well, and we go Super Speedway Racing. So tune in here on the Indesim Esports Network on Friday night from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and don't miss all the action. But then for our last broadcast before we go into Christmas, we'll be back here for round 9 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries for what will be the Kansas Road Course. 40 laps, we go back road course racing here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. But we hope you enjoyed all the action here on the Indesim Esports Network tonight. Your winner was Raymond Yeager. Gary Wellman coming home in P number 2. Justin Witcher in P number 3. That brings to the end of the broadcast. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night for the TCRs, Friday night for the simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series, and next Sunday night for the next round of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries From myself, Paul, and everyone here at the Indosim Esports Network, we wish you a good night.